Hey, hello everyone. I know I'm off camera today. I'm just kind of got everything down here to give you a picture, and we're just going to go ahead and get right started with what we're doing today. I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from North Canton, Ohio. And today I am bringing to you the Link Together bundle product-based class. So this is just a peek at the projects that we're doing today. So in this class, you are going to have the supplies to complete all 5 projects. So you'll do one of each. So this is just a glimpse at what we're doing. Let me take these away and set them off to the side here. So in your product bundle, along with your kit, you're going to have your Link Together stamp set, which is right here. So this is a sentiment stamp set. You've got a couple just basic fonts here and then some like script ones. You're also going to have a die set in this bundle. You've got a grid piece, a couple shapes, some greenery vine pieces, and then 2 dies with flowers. And as you can see, I have been using this a lot. I've die cut. When I die cut and there's extras, I just throw them in my little case there so that I have them if I need to search for some more. And then you're going to have the Link Together decorative mask, which mine have washi tape already on them because as you'll see once I show you, I like to hold it down with washi tape and then hold my cardstock down with some temporary adhesive. So we're going to go over that today. But so I've just left the washi tape on mine. That's what I do. And then I'll just put them back in the package just like that. So it's already on there. You just need something to kind of, at least for me anyway, I like to secure it in place a little bit. So that's what works well for me. And then you will also have a blending brush in with your cardstock supplies and then all your bundled products. So you're going to have the larger blending brush. We also have minis, but the larger one is what will be in your kit. And with these brushes, you can kind of see that, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but you'll be able to feel it with your product when you have it in front of you. They're very, very fine little bristles in there. It's super soft. You can wash these out and use them on multiple colors. I tend to have accumulated them to where I have like one for my blues, reds, greens, oranges, purples. As you'll see, I'll have different ones. And I do wash them out. Like on one of today's projects, we're going to be using the white craft pad. And I'm actually going to use that with the little mini because I need to like really get into what I'm doing to be able to have a little bit more precision. And then I just washed it out so the white craft ink, it doesn't stay on the blending brush and kind of give it a little more texture than I want it to have. Typically our regular water-based inks, that the classic stamp heads, you don't have a texture to them. At least I've never felt anything different or seen anything different when I'm using them. But that's just a tip there. You can use them over and over with different colors and wash them out. That's no problem at all. You just want to kind of make sure that tap them on a washcloth or something to dry them off. So, okay, so these are the supplies we're using, and we will be using in this class. Usually when I do a product-based class, I want to use every stamp that's in the kit or the stamp set and every die that's in there. And every stencil. So just as showing you, like we're using everything in this bundle, giving you an idea what to do with it. So this bundle, you will find on page 48 and 49 of the January through April occasions catalog. And you're going to see one of our projects is very similar. I grabbed one of my ideas from this project and this project, although I tweaked them slightly, made them my own. But these are the projects that drew me to this bundle because I was like, oh, that is so neat. So on this one, they did some masking, or well, it's not masking. They did some embossing paste. And I've actually taken that idea and put it on a different project, but I liked the background on this. You'll see how I've kind of tweaked it a little bit. Same with this one, use different colors and a little different layout and added some more die cuts. So yeah, so anyway, I hope that you enjoy the class. I appreciate that you were interested in it, and I hope this gives you some creative inspiration for you to try your stencils and dies and stamp sets and use them to create your own cards in addition to what we're making in the class. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, I went ahead and grabbed all the supplies we're going to need for this project here to start off. If on today's class, if you see anything here that you're wanting to purchase in addition to what you got in your bundle today, you want to get more blending brushes, you want some of the ink colors, anything like that, embellishments. This is my current host code for this month, so the month of February. Well, this is January, but this will be the code for February. It's FV, no, sorry, I got that totally wrong. 7VF. Y7RA. Oh my goodness. I'm like, did you just, okay, I'm gonna try it for the third time. Third time's a charm. 7VF7R4P. Okay, got that right. I had my label maker has the print. I need to replace the ink in it, so I kind of had to write that with the Sharpie marker, kind of going over the label, and I kind of buggered that up a little bit. Anyway, you'll find all these items on my online store at stampingucrazy.stampinup.net. So if there's something that you do want and you don't want to order online, you can always email me. I'm happy to do that for you. Okay, so on this first project, we are using Fresh Freesia ink and Highland Heather ink. We're also using some of the iridescent rhinestone embellishments. And we're using vanilla cardstock. It's a thick vanilla. And the blending brush. So what we're going to do is first start, let me give you a closer look at this card. So there you can see that we've got some extra added texture on this. And those are some of our die cut ovals, and I'll show you how to do that here shortly. So this card mimics the one on, I'll ship back here, on 48, this one here, where this is a white and peach pie and pumpkin pie template. So it's similar, but I changed it to vanilla. And then I added some die cutting elements to it. So something a little different. All right, so I'm going to set this aside over here. And so our supplies, we've got our envelope, and you've got a confetti cream envelope. I've run out of the vanilla envelopes that I had. Well, actually, I should not say that. I did order some off the clearance rack of the vanilla ones, but I've put those somewhere. And so these were quicker to find, and so I just grabbed these. I'm sure they're fine. They're complementary to what we're doing. So you've got a piece of very vanilla that's 5.5 by 8.5. And then you've got an extra piece. And I think this one, I just grabbed an extra because we need it for our blending that we're going to do. And I think it's like 3 by 4.25. You just want a scrap piece because we're going to cut this down. You also have a 1 inch, a half an inch piece by, this is probably 8.5, so long enough to do your sentiments. And then I've gone ahead and die cut the grid piece out. This is out of the Very Vanilla, so we've already got that done. And I've die cut 2 of the ovals for you, and you'll notice that they have some fun stitching around them too. So that is already done. We're ready to kind of just jump on in here. The first thing I want to do, and I didn't get this done on the kits, so I apologize for that. It actually was an oversight on my part. When I was putting them together, I realized that I hadn't scored any of the bases, and I typically try to do that. So I'm just going to use my Simply Scored tool. You'll see me using that on all of the 5 projects that we're doing today. And I've put that with my 8.5-inch side at the top. And then I'm just going to score at 4.25. Really easy. So we'll go ahead and start by folding our card base in half. Our bone folder. Now these stamps are all photopolymer, so I am going to use my foam mat for that to give it a little extra cushion, just for good stamping. Okay, so go ahead and do some blending. And when I do that, I want to use some temporary adhesive. So this is just some Scotch double-sided tape that's removable, repositionable. I can never really get it to tear off of here. I always have to cut it with a pair of scissors. It's not so easy for me to do, so I'm going to put that just right on my surface there and fasten my cardstock to that. And it's temporary, so it won't tear when I go to pull that off. And then I'm going to come back in with my mat. And for this one, I'm going to use that mat and we'll use this one. Okay. All right. So for myself, what I like to do is you'll notice on your stencils that each one of them has a notch, and they're actually also numbered. Like this is number 1. So it's saying if you want to use these in a series, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives you like, hey, use this one with your lighter color before you use this one, and so on and so forth. So you want to go ahead and position your your stencil on top of your cardstock. And for this card in particular, with the grid, what I like to do is make sure that I've got my die going or my mask going the right way. This is going to line up with my grid. If you use it this way, there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't fit the grid in. Like if you're trying to line it up this way, you just have to take it this way. Okay, hopefully that's making sense and not confusing you. I just want to put it this way for purposes of using this die, and just it's visually, I need to see it the way it's going to go in the die piece. So hopefully that's not confusing you with what I'm saying. So I'm just going to set this up here. And again, I'm going to make sure I've got that kind of in my range there. And I'm going to grab another piece here. So I'm going to start with the lighter color, which is our freesia, fresh freesia, and just take my blending brush and kind of swirl it around a bit on there. And then just go right to my cardstock surface. The great thing about using the washi tape too is that you can pull it up and kind of check to see if the color that you're achieving there, like on camera, it probably doesn't look like there's color really transferring. It's such a lighter kind of color, but I can see it. So I'm just gonna kind of go to like try that, pick that up and see how I like how that's going. Yeah, so I like how that is turning out. So I'm going to pull that up and set it aside. Now these stencils you can just wipe off with a baby wipe or wash them under your sink of water. I'll use a baby wipe for purposes of just being right here with class. And then I'm going to take this one and just kind of line it up. You can see the grid lines there, so you can use your other stencil and kind of get those diamonds in about the same position that the others were. You can see the white outline coming in here, so that you know that this layer is going to layer right over top of what you did, giving some dimension. So I'm going to go in with my same brush and just use the Highland Heather. For me, I find that when I go from light to dark, it doesn't do anything as far as discoloration on my pad. So I'm comfortable doing that. And notice that when I'm doing this, I'm just kind of taking my fingers and putting them one on the head of the brush and one to the side. I'm left-handed, so you might find that you're doing it right-handed, whatever's more comfortable for you. And I'm just going in a swirling motion. And just add the ink to get the dimension and the depth of the color that you're wanting to achieve. By going back and forth. Let me take a peek here and see if I'm liking this result. Yeah, I do. I can see that definition with the lighter and the darker there, so I'm comfortable with that, happy with that. Pull this back, that off. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some wipes. So, because we're going to use these on different cards today. So I want to get them cleaned off and let them dry while we're stamping. So I'm just going to take and wipe that off. On this side and do the same for this one. The reason I was flipping it over is because sometimes when you're doing this, you're gonna get little things of moisture collecting on the other side. So I just want to make sure I get both sides cleaned off, and we'll set this aside and use that wipe again later. Okay, so next what we're going to do is take some liquid adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and put this grid piece on our blended piece. And I am just putting some little dots of glue just kind of randomly where the cardstock intersects. And that should be sufficient in order to keep it down. You really don't need a lot. And I find the liquid glue works better than running a tape runner. And then I'm going to just position this over where it lines up. And again, it's like a little puzzle. You'll be able to see it, how it's going to line up there. Notice that I didn't do all the way towards the top. I knew I wasn't going to need that, so it wasn't necessary. So I'm just going to let that fasten down, and we're going to go ahead and do a little stamping. Set that aside. Bring in our piece with the verses, and let's see. So I decided to make this one, wishing you the best, enjoy a lifetime of love. So I thought this would be just a beautiful like spring wedding card. So what I'm going to do is just ink up my wishing you. And I'm going to stamp that. Let me get my stamp cleaner here. I've got all this. Just going to clean it off with my chamois. And we're going to stamp the best. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and do the greetings inside. Now, because those are a little bit larger sentiments, I want to bring in, tape is still there, but it's fine. I want to bring in my photopolymer mat just so I get a good impression. Enjoy. Clean that one off too. A lifetime of love. And you could do this card for really any greeting. I mean, like any occasion, wishing you the best. It could be for any celebratory occasion, or you could change it up and do something completely different and just use the layout. So I think this set is super versatile with the imagery in it. You could make it feminine, you could make it masculine. You could use it for a variety of occasions because there's so many different sentiments in the stamp set. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this so I do not set anything in the ink pads, which is quite possible. And we're going to start assembling our card. So we'll come back with our grid piece. And you can do it one of two ways. You can take your scissors and just trim right around where that grid is at. Or you can use a paper cutter. So I've got this little mini paper cutter from Stampin' Up. And this little guy was available, gosh, a year or two ago. It's no longer available, but I still do use it. So for these little slim pieces, I'm just going to take my scissors and just trim those, because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm trimming just a little sliver on my cutting board or my cutter, sometimes it's a little more aggravating than it is helpful because it's just too tiny. So I'm going to take this and put it in my cutter and line that up and just cut that down. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Pulling that out. All right, so we've got our grid all together. We've trimmed off all the edges there, so it's a nice piece. And I'm going to put that on with some dimensionals. I have them here. Need some regular size ones, not the minis, but well, you would think that I could just locate some dimensionals right here, but I've got every size except the size I want. All right, let me just grab a new pack. Well, those are the minis too, for heaven's sake. I need to replace them. Okay, we'll just go ahead and use the minis because that's what I've got right here in front of me. Okay, so I'm gonna put these on. Just take those little tabs off. Take and just kind of put that nice frame on my card. Okay. Then I'm going to take my two ovals and just cut those in half. You don't have to be super precise. It'll all work out fine. Okay. So then I'm going to take some with adhesive because this will give me some room to position them. So what I'm going to do is tuck that up under there, just like a little moon. And I'm going to leave a little overhang there just so I can trim it off and give it a nice clean edge. You can do however you would like. So you'll notice it's hanging out of the frame of the card. I'm okay with that. I mean, you could line it up just the same, but I'm going to do a clean line with my card. And I like the liquid adhesive because it gives you a little bit more time to play with it as far as positioning. Okay. Now these ovals obviously would be great to put sentiments on too, so you could absolutely do that. I just wanted to use it in a different way. And trying to line those up so I can visually see that they're across from one another. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is just flip my card over and use my scissors to trim. So that way it's lined up with the card. again, you can do it either way. You could just line it right up with the edge if you prefer. That's why I said I wasn't real precise about my cutting them in half because I knew I was going to trim this off. You can do whatever works best for you. All right, now we need to put our sentiments on here. And I'm just going to cut those off like little blocks. So we've got a rectangle here. We've got plenty of cardstock strip there to work with. Right, I'm also going to pop these up with some mini dimensionals too. I liked all the texture on this card. That one would be fine with one, just a little piece there. So we're still in January here, but I hear there's a warm up on the way for February, which would be wonderful considering we were like Arctic temperatures not too long ago. Okay, so we're gonna go right about there, and I'm just gonna center this on my card within that little frame there. So it's kind of exciting. I hear it's gonna be like in the 50s, so that'll be like a heat wave for sure. And we've got the best. Pick that one up. That's a little wonky there. All right, so we've got wishing you the best. We're going to come in here with some gems. And go ahead, let's see. There. Put one here, maybe. And one here. You may have like all three the same size. What's that one? One on my finger. You might have three that are the same size, three that are different sizes. Either way, they'll all be the little gems. And that iridescent color just kind of picks up whatever color you are working with, which is nice. Okay. And so there we've got our first project. Okay, and I'm gonna clean these supplies up and then I'll come back with another project. We've got 5 total. Okay, this is going to be our next project. So on this one here, we're going to use the diamond die cutting. We're going to use some of those greenery pieces as some of the blossoms. We've added some extra ribbon, and then you might be able to see on here, do you see how there's texture on there? We're going to use some embossing paste on this one as well. Okay, and then we're going to do a little blending on the inside, just very lightly to give you, showing you how you can use those stencils to just add a little extra texture to the inside of your cardstock, as well as on the envelopes too. So, okay, and I've put this diamond on with some dimensionals. Everything else is on there flush with the card. And the ribbon we're going to do in 2 phases where we'll wrap it around. So I'll show you what we're using on this card. The colors we're using are Pool Party and Summer Splash, which is one of our new colors. We've, of course, got a blending brush. We're using some Summer Splash stitched ribbon. We're using our stencils again. We are using embossing paste and the tools that we're going to kind of spackle it on with. I tend to use this one the most. You do get a variety of tools. You get 5 in all with the package, but I tend to just use this one. And then we'll use that with our embossing paste. A couple of tips with the embossing paste is that when you are using it, you want to open it up, grab what you need, and shut it back down. You don't want to just leave it open in the air while you are working with it, you want to, because it will air dries. So you want to make sure that you're keeping it sealed up. So I'm gonna set these things aside. And I think that's everything. And on this one, I'm going to use the So Happy for You as our greeting. And that could be for like any occasion. So we've got our envelope for our supplies. I've gone ahead and die cut our pieces that we're going to use. I've got 2 pieces of ribbon here, and one is 6 inches, and the one is like, I would say 4 inches. That's what we're going to tie our knot with. We've got a piece of Summer Splash that is 4 1/4 by 11. A piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. Another piece of basic white that is 3 1/2 by 5. And we've got a diamond die cut out of Pool Party. So first what we're going to do is bring in the scoring tool, and we're going to score our cardstock, and I'm going to put it with the 11-inch side at the top, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. Okay. So we will take and fold our cardstock in half and just flatten that crease with our bone folder and set that aside. So in this one, we're going to do a little blending and come back in with our mat. There we go. Okay, so we've got our mat stuck on the temporary adhesive. And for this one, so on this one we're using, so I grabbed, before we used this template, these diamonds are just slightly smaller, and we're still going to use this larger diamond one with the thinner outline. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to put my notch at the top, so I know that on the next one I need to put the notch at the top so they'll line up. Put that in place. And we'll start with our Pool Party. Go ahead and open the Summer Splash. And I'm going to go ahead and start with just blending this. You'll notice that I just tend to go in a circular motion. And when I put my mask down, you'll be able to see through your mask a little bit, so you'll be able to see that I wanted to try to create the same border all around my cardstock. I know it's hard for you to see that on the camera, but you can just barely see it here at the top. I've got that about that 1/8 of an inch border all around my cardstock, so that way you'll notice in the example I've just got a nice frame around. Now you could do that and cut it down if you didn't want a white frame, but I did it consistently, so I feel like it just complements the card nicely. So I'm just gathering some ink and pouring around my cardstock and my mask, just creating a border there. I'm going to pull that up, and yep, I've got a pretty good coloring, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to take this stencil up. I'll go ahead and actually I'm going to wait because I do want to do on the envelope. So I'm just going to set that aside. I was going to clean it, but I was like, no. So I'm going to put my notch at the top again. And just set the stencil over it, just kind of looking through. And like I said, you can see when you're working with them right in front of you, you can see those diamonds below. I'm going to take that same blending brush and grab some color. And this will be my darker. And again, just going in that swirling motion. I like that Stampin' Up! Design these to give us some extra border around here so that you can put your fingers on it to kind of hold it. I've got the washi tape down, but I just, out of habit, just want to kind of hold it there myself. And that allows you to be able to do that. I think this is going to be a good contrast. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. Okay. While I've got this stencil tacked down, I want to grab the other one, which is this little guy. So we're also going to use this one. And this is where embossing paste comes into play here. Let me take off. I've got a piece of washi tape on the back of this. There we go. You need to be able to stick it down. Okay, so I want to put the notch. Oh, that's why I had it like that. Okay, let me flip this over. Got my notch at the top. And then I'm just going to kind of put these little floral type patterns over my diamonds. So I'm gonna put that in place. Wait a minute. I think that was a little off there. So just making sure I've got it within the frame of what I had down there. Okay. So I'm going to come in with my embossing paste. Let me get my tool here. So you see, I've got just some here. I'm going to chunk it out with this spackling plate. You don't really need a lot. I'm not going to need that much, but I'll show you how to kind of get that off. So let me put the lid back on that and set that aside. Then I'm going to take the spackling tool and I'm just going to take this around. And it's almost like you're patching a hole on the wall. Now, you'll notice on the center here, I'm not going to put as much there because we're going to put a label over that. So you're just really kind of wasting the embossing paste by putting it completely kind of in that area. And this technique does not have to be like, oh, I didn't get it in that little hole. You know, I'm not so much worried about getting it in every single little piece. But in order to do that, you'll notice that I'm changing the direction of my tool. I'm going back and forth. That kind of works it in there each way. Now, when you're working with the embossing paste, after I do this, I am going to stop my camera and I'm going to go clean this off with something other than just a baby wipe. Because the embossing paste is designed to dry very quickly, if you don't get it off of your stencil, it's going to dry on your stencil and kind of close up those openings. So you're going to have a little bit of work if you don't clean it off after you are done stenciling. Let me just kind of come this way on these. Okay, so as you can see, I have worked that in all different ways. So I'm going to go back over my stencil, just consistently trying to get off all that extra paste. And you'll see that I've got just a little bit left. So I'm going to take and put that back in my container. Close that up, and I'm going to go wash this off. But before I do, let me separate it here. Okay. So you can see that we now have texture on our card, which is super cool. And it's also white, so it kind of just gives it some little extra added interest. So let me go wash this off and I will be right back. Okay, so I have gone ahead and cleaned all that paste off and just dried that, and it's going to set aside to dry. I've also done my tool that I was working on to get the paste off of that. And I went ahead and cleaned off the other ones too. So let me move those things aside since we no longer need those. Okay, so this just needs a little bit of time to dry. So I'm going to set that aside and it'll dry while I'm continuing to work on the project. We're going to come back in and do a little blending on our inside layer and our envelope. We'll do a little bit on our envelope too. So let me grab this stencil back And I just want to lightly create a little interest. On this one, it doesn't matter to me whether the notch is up or down or whatnot. I'm just going to put that down and grab a little ink, and I want to just create a little bit of like some shading at the bottom of my inside layer. Ah, so just like that, just something very light. And I'll go ahead and do that on my envelope too. Why not? We have it out, we may as well. And again, I'm not going to create like to fill my whole back side of my envelope. I'm just going to do this a little interest. Now you may or may not do this on your, have this on your envelope or whatnot. Whoops, I just moved it a little bit there. So I'm gonna wind that back up. It's something that you can add if you want to, just showing you that that can be done. It can create a little interest on the back. You could even do it on your front portion if you choose to. So I just want to kind of show you that to show what you can do with these stencils. And I might do that on a couple of the other projects as well. You can do as you would like. All right, so we need to stamp our greeting. Since I've got this repositionable tape down there, we may as well use it. And I'm going to go ahead and do that in the Summer Splash, since our cardstock is Pool Party. And you'll notice I'm tapping around my ink pad because I was using it for blending, so I've pulled a good bit of that ink out. And I've just kind of stamped that in the center. All right, so we have all of our stamping done. I'm going to go ahead and shut the ink pads and set those aside there. All right, so we are ready to start layering our card. So because our paste part is drying, I'm just going to go ahead and work on my vine assembly. And because this is kind of tacked down with a little bit of removable adhesive or temporary adhesive, I'm just going to leave it in place there. It'll work to our advantage with that. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive dots just on my vine here. And again, it's such a delicate piece. I don't need a lot. I'm just going to put that. I think I put a little adhesive there and I don't need it there. So put that in place. Okay. And we'll come with the other little vine and do the same thing. I have my little precision tip bottle, but I need to fill that up with some more adhesive. So I don't have that quite that little tiny bottle to be able to use. Here, okay, so we've got that down. And then we're going to layer these blossoms. So for this one, just going to go with the Pool Party. Put that one down for, need to actually push that down. Put that one down first, then we'll come back with the Summer Splash little flower. That one over top. And you can kind of offset the little petals there. There we go. And then we'll do the opposite for the top blossom, putting our Pool Party down, or our Summer Splash one down first. And bring that Pool Party one for the top. And again, just offsetting those petals a little bit. Okay. And while we're at it, we may as well put our gems on here because it's kind of just right there for us. So why not? We're going to go ahead and come in with 2 of these shimmer gems and put them right in the center of our flowers. So we've got this piece ready to go on our card front. I am going to pop this up with some dimensionals, and being that I could not find my larger dimensionals, we'll go ahead and use those minis, which work just as well for what we need to do. And I am going to put, because I just realized I've got that ribbon running through there, I'm going to put a couple more because these might quite attach to the ribbon there. Okay. All right, so we're going to start assembling our card. And I was like, where is my liquid adhesive? I know I just had it. Put some of the Tombow adhesive down. And wait a minute. I have to figure out how I'm doing my card. I'm like, wait, I don't want it that way. I want it to go this way. First I was thinking like up and down, and I'm like, no, Christina, that is not how you want to put this card together. Okay. And we'll come back in with our piece, and this is all dried. The texture's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead, and this is how we want it placed there. You'll notice you've got a space with without any paste. There's some gaps in that paste. You want to put that where you're going to put your layered label over top of it. But I want to come in and do my ribbon first. So I've grabbed some Scotch tape, and I'm just going to determine where I want to put that. So I'm going to go which side I want to put it on there, just kind of in the center. So I'm going to take and put that end on the back side and just take some Scotch tape. You can use your regular adhesive if you like. I just like to use Scotch tape when I'm doing this particular kind of technique with ribbon. I just find it works better for me, but you can absolutely do with what you'd like. I'm just going to fold that down and then put some Scotch tape there and put that in place. And because I've got some adhesive on there with some, what do I want to say? Some Scotch tape and the ribbon and stuff like that, I'm going to use my seal, and that will adhere it down very nicely. I like to use something with a little bit more substance. The Tombow works fine, but it's just my personal preference when I'm working with a ribbon that I like to typically use the seal. So we're going to put that in place. Then we're going to come in with our, now you wanted to use your longer piece. We still do have the shorter one, and we're going to come in and tie a faux bow there, or a faux knot, I guess. Let me get all these little dimensional pieces off. So I'm just going to center that, and it should fit exactly in your card parameters, meaning the 1 point there and there. And I've just got a peak of the ribbon coming out over here. Then I'm going to take this smaller piece and pick up my ribbon and just slide that underneath. And you probably will only have enough to do a knot. I don't think there's enough to do a bow. I just thought a knot would just simplify it here. So the beauty about doing it this way is you can adjust that knot where you'd like it to go. It'll slide up and down there. You can just trim that as you wish. There we go. Okay. So there we go. We've got our second card there. Like this. Okay. All right, I'm going to clean up these supplies and we'll do another project. Hang on. Great. So for this next project, I actually did bring another stamp set in, painted lavender, and we're going to use this, what would be like a greenery piece. We're going to use that to stamp some images and the butterfly on our card. You could use any floral image that you have. You just want something kind of bold that you can just try to create a simple background there to add interest to your card with this particular project that we're doing. Okay, so on this card, okay, so we're using our link together bundle, of course, with the sentiment and the stencils and the dies. And then I've grabbed the painted lavender stamp set. We're using Blueberry Bushel as one of our inks and Azure Afternoon. And on this one, we don't need this little guy. On this one, we're using also a blending brush and some blue rhinestone gems. And we're going to use this stencil again that we did our paste with, pulling that one back in. Okay, and you can see the project here. So we're going to create, so with some blending, we're going to create a faux layer there. And we're going to create some interest around the outside of our card. So I will show you how we are accomplishing that. With our card supplies, we've got our envelope. I've already got the two little daisy flowers cut out of the blueberry bushel. And I know you're probably like, Christina, I can't believe you didn't even cut those out of this layer. I know, believe me. I should have. I totally forgot. I just grabbed some little strips and was cutting them out. But I love to die cut out of layers. So we've got our white card base, and you're going to notice this is our thick white cardstock. So a little traditional, thicker than our traditional white cardstock, and it is cut 5.5 by 8.5. You've got a piece of blueberry bushel that's 4 by 5.25. And then you've got a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And that is it for our card supplies on this one. Oh, and well, I take that back. I did already die cut a diamond. We're going to use the diamond die cut as part of our card to be able to create our faux layer. So you can see we're going to do some blending with that. So I'm going to bring in the scoring tool quickly, and we're going to go ahead and score our, oops, my stylus fell out there. Grab our stylus. And we're going to score that at 4 1/4. We've got the 8.5 inch at the top and just scored that down at 4 1/4. Right, so we'll go ahead and fold our card base in half and flatten that. We're going to do some blending with these two pieces. And not so much, we don't need those right now. So bring our card, our workspace in first, and we'll just go ahead and use it by tacking that to the temporary adhesive. And we're going to do our card base first. I used the, trying to remember which one I think I did the blueberry bushel on this. Well, we're going to give it a try because honestly, I can't remember now which one I did with the little stencil. So I want to create some texture around the outside of my perimeter of my white cardstock. And I'm going to also introduce some color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer of like the full, what I would consider like a full flower design. See how it goes across here and then it comes down here. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of cough and spell there. So that's what I'm going to line up on my card. I'm going to take that and put it to the corner and come down. I know it's not long enough, but I will fix that as we go along. Okay, so I'm just going to use the edge of my blending brush here, and I'm going to create, again, I'm using kind of the edge here. Okay, bring that up, and you'll see there, and you can see that it's not the entire space. I'm going to flip that around and do the same thing at the bottom. I'm using my edge. Doesn't matter if it kind of goes over into that. We're going to be layering over top of that. It's really not meant to be precise. I just wanted to create some texture and added an extra element of color there because we had a white base. So we've got our two little corners vacant. So what I'm going to do is just bring this piece in and get a little color right down in that corner. Okay. And then do the same up here, creating just a little bit of color in that corner with that stencil again. Okay. So that's all done for now as far as with the stenciling. Then we're going to come in with our card front piece and we're going to do two things. We're going to take this stencil that we made, and I already have some removable adhesive on the back. I'm going to position that just, so here are my two ends. I want to take this triangular or the diamond piece, I guess you'd say, and just do it so it just comes down over my ends, covering it. So I'm kind of creating that V on my card, okay? So for this one, I want to start with my Azure Afternoon. So I want to create just some light blending in the background. So I'm holding this in place. And I'm focusing right now really on this, the die cut, the diamond die cut, because I want to establish a layer there. So that's what I'm doing first with my lighter color. And now that I've kind of got that, I'm just gonna go ahead and create some more shading and blending on the rest of the layer. So it gets rid of like that white. It's creating the illusion of another layer there. All right. Now, while I have that in place, I'm going to bring my stencil back in here. And you'll notice on my example, I just have a little texture there. I didn't do the whole amount. I don't want to take away from the butterfly here. I just want to create some added interest behind the stems. So I'm going to take the stencil, come back in with our darker blue, and I'm just going to go over I'll pick that up. Just see how I like the intensity of it. And yeah, there we go. That's enough. I didn't go in all the areas. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it just kind of extra interest there. So I'm going to come back in and grab the little butterflies and stamp those up in our corner here. I love that. Then I'm going to take this stem and do in the blueberry bushel. And I'm going to just stamp that over and over again, but kind of going down just a little bit, creating like a bit of a ledge there. Okay, so I've got those four. I want to get a little bit more blue up here. So I'm going to kind of tap in a little bit there. And then I want to kind of fill in some of this space too. So just using the top of the stamp and the edges just to kind of fill in that space a little bit. I'm happy with that result. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that stamp off. Actually, you know what? We could do that on I could do that on this envelope too. Go ahead and just put that on there. That'll go with that. Could do that. I was trying to clean up my stamp in the stamp setting. No, I need the chamois. Okay. And well, we've got our blending brush here. We'll just go ahead and blend a little bit there. Why not? All right, so now what we're going to do is create that magic. See what we did there. Okay, we've got an envelope piece here. Let me take this away so you can actually see it more. And I've got a little bit of my removable adhesive there, and I'm just gonna kind of swirl my fingers around and that'll pull that off. And we've got this template we can use again for later. Now for this one, I'm just gonna create just a note. Then I can make it whatever kind of card I need to. And I'm just gonna ink that in my blueberry bushel. You can do whatever greeting you prefer as well. Totally up to you. There's plenty of space there for several of the greetings, so you can make it your own. All right, and then I'm going to take the little flowers that we die cut, and we're going to kind of create like an envelope. This is going to be like our little seal on the envelope. Go ahead and do the liquid adhesive on this one too. Well, I've got it, and then we'll put them together. Just gonna put that right like that. With this one, I'm just gonna offset the petals so it'll make that daisy like a little fuller. We're gonna go ahead and shut these colors now that we're done with them, because I'm already getting blue ink all over me. For some reason, I'm just like swimming in it today. And we're gonna go ahead and layer our card. So let's bring our, oh, you know what? Wait, I gotta come back to this. I was doing the darker masking and I didn't finish this. So I'm going to go ahead and soften the edges here on this one as well. So I'm going to come back with the Azure Afternoon and just go around adding some color to that. And we just need it on the edge. Bring that up. Got that. And we are ready to layer. All right, so grab some adhesive. Just going to use my Tombow liquid adhesive. That down. And it just creates just a slight little texture there. It's not a huge noticeable. That's why there's not necessary to do like the whole area, but it just kind of connects our design layers together. Okay. And we'll put this stamp layer in place. Gosh, I just love the cuteness of this card with using that die cut as helping to create a faux layer. And then we'll come in with a gem, and we'll just use one of the darker blue gems right there. Put that in place. And there is our next project that we've done. This is, I think, our third one. So I will clean these supplies up and be right back with you. Okay, all right. So this is our next project. We're going to use some peach pie, pumpkin pies, make you hungry for pie. And do this fancy one. Okay, this is just like bright and cheery fun. So we're going to start with our masking. Let me share with you the products that we're using. Of course, the linked together bundle. We're using the pumpkin pie ink and the peach pie ink, and we've got a blending brush. Again, like I said before, I use one for each color family, but you can rinse yours out and use it on multiple different colors. And then we're going to use, I've pulled back in one of the smaller diamonds and then this larger one again for some blending. And we've got our champagne rhinestone gems. And I've got some of the peach pie ribbon like we used on the last one with the summer splash. So, and everything is pretty much flush to the card. We are going to do the wrapping of the ribbon and tying again on this one. So we'll watch, I'll take you through that here in just a little bit. So I'm going to set that aside. And let me share with you the supplies we've got. So I've already die cut some pumpkin pie daisies and then the little mini flowers out of the peach pie and then a white grid. We've got our ribbon pieces that are 6 inches and 4 inches. We've got those set aside here. Our cardstock, our peach pie is 4 1/4 by 11. We've got a piece of pumpkin pie that is 4 1/4 by 3 3/8. We've got a piece of basic white that is 3 1/2 by 5. And then you've got a piece of white that is like 4 1/4 by I think like 3 1/2. We just needed an extra piece, kind of like we did on the purple one with the Highland Heather and the freesia. Just needed a little bigger than what you're going to use for your grid. So, and then of course our envelope. So what we're going to do first, of course, is score our fold line. This just makes it easier for it to fold. And I apologize that that didn't get done in the kits. I didn't realize it till I was actually pulling out my cardstock to make the video and realized, okay, this isn't scored, so I didn't score it in the kits. And I have really tried to do that with the card kits lately. So we're going to go ahead and just fold at our score line. Use our bone folder to flatten that. And we'll set that aside. Set that aside with our orange piece too. And we're going to start with our blending. So I'm going to bring my mat back in and we'll start with this one. Again, you want to kind of just center it so you've got even border on both sides. You want to make sure you've got it the right direction. So for me, like I said, I'm visually looking at it like this. If you did it like this, it wouldn't line up, type thing, but you will figure that out with your grids. So what I'm doing is just making like, okay, I've got it within the range that I need. We're good to go. So I've put that down. My notch is at the top corner. So we're going to start with our peach pie and blend. This is very therapeutic, this blending. It's kind of like watercoloring. You just like sit and you can do it. You can do this while you're watching TV, you're watching a program, and get all your blending done and then go back and stamp and assemble. If you're like me in my craft room, I've got a TV there. So I usually have something on the screen I'm listening to, or I might be listening to a book on tape. I love listening to audiobooks. I do that a lot when I'm stamping because I can listen and pay attention and stuff. And but let me go ahead. And so that is the peach pie. We've got that down. So I'm going to take this stencil up and we're going to come back and put this one in. Let me just line that up. And we'll go do our pumpkin pie. So anyway, I like listening to books on tape. From audio. Our library is like a fabulous resource for that. But my daughter Cecily, many of you know her, you've met her before. She loves to read, like loves to read. It is nothing for her to read a book in a day or two. Like, and I'm talking like hundreds of pages book. Like she loves reading. And I love that about her, that she just really, really enjoys literature. But she informed me the other day, she said, like, Mom, you really can't count an audiobook for reading. Like you're listening to it, you're not reading it. And I was like, I think I am. It was funny. I mean, I see what she's saying. I do. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest, if I sit down to read a book, I will read books, don't get me wrong. But I have to just do it in short spurts because if I'm snuggled in and have like a cup of tea, I'm gonna fall asleep. That's just the reality of it. So anyway, it was a funny conversation. I mean, she is just such an avid reader. I just tend to listen to them when I'm doing other things, like going on a walk or stamping or something. So, okay, there we go. We've got our teal tones there. I'm going to take that one away. So we've got our fun piece that we're going to create some interest on the card front with. And I'm going to come in and just do some for the inside layer. So it is funny. Like, do you read? I'd love to know. Like, do you read? Do you like to listen to audiobooks too? I think either way. I think I think anytime you're listening to something that's going to better yourself, improve like something the way you think about it or whatnot, I think it's a good thing. So it doesn't matter how you consume your information in that way. Um, as far as it's with the audiobook or if it's you're reading it. That's just my opinion. So we're going to come back in and do that little fun technique with our envelope and create. And again, I'm just going to create kind of just like a little bit of a pattern here. I'm not trying to be real precise with it, like just a little bit. We're going to leave it like that. That's what works for me. You can do with what you'd like. I'm done with the peach pie, so I'm going to close that. We need to stamp our greeting. So let's go ahead and do that. And this one we're going to stamp right on our card front. So I'm going to put wishing you a happy day. So using the same, well, that's just a note. I don't want that. Wait a minute. Wishing you. I almost pushed just a note a happy day. That would not have been what I wanted. So this one we're going to use happy day, and that'll be a little bit different than what we've done before. So I'm going to do wishing you. And then a happy day. And again, I'm going to tap these around a little bit because I've been using the ink for blending. And it's probably a little depleted a bit. There we go, a happy day. All right. So we've got that stamped. All the ink is done. We'll shut that. And we're going to come back to putting our grid together. Right. So I'm just putting some little dots around the perimeter. And just some selective points in the center. Get that too. Into our card front. Okay. And line that up. So again, you will see where your grid goes into place. And because it's liquid glue, liquid adhesive, it allows you the ability to kind of move that around a little bit. So you can just turn it over and press it down a bit to get that grid to take hold. And then we're going to trim it. And I think it's just as easy to do with your scissors or paper cutter. So again, you do what works best for you. I did it earlier in the video, showed you like both ways. For this one, I just happen to have my scissors right handy, so we're just going to trim it that way. Okay. And last one. All right, so we've got that piece done. We're going to get our ribbon hooked on here. So we're going to take our longer piece of ribbon. And I'm going to do that towards the top. Let me grab some Scotch tape. I got way bigger of a piece of Scotch tape than what I actually needed. But, you know, it'll be okay. All right, and then we're going to take and line that up so it's even and bring it back around this side. And tape that one down. Okay. And then we're going to just put that right on our card front, right in the lower half of our card. And because it's got ribbon on it, I am going to come in with some Stampin' Seal. And we'll put our grid on. I hope you all are enjoying these projects and the variety that it's showing you, just how you can use your supplies. And there's so much more you can do with them. I mean, my goodness, you could just, you could create so many things. Just slide that little piece of ribbon, the shorter piece, underneath that one we fastened down, and just tie a knot. And again, you can just trim that to your liking then. Clean those ends up. Sometimes they get frayed a little bit when you're running it through there. Just to I cut it. Got to put our inside piece in and then get our fabulous little blossoms on there. I really like these little flowers. I think they are nice because they have a little texture to them with the lines that are die cut in them. There we go. And some more wood glue. Okay, so I'm going to put one up here. And we'll put another one of these. We're going to put the rest of these on our grid. Okay, so put that right there. Maybe one down here. Ah, it stuck to my finger there. And one last one, and we'll put that one, say, right here. Okay. Now we'll come back in with our gems. We have champagne rhinestones here. And put one of those in just each of the centers. Go. Okay. And there we have got our fourth card. All right, another color template done, just different shades here using them. The mask and all the tools within the linked together kit. All right, I'm going to clean off these masks and then I'll come back with our last project. Cool. We are back with our last project. This one, we are going to use that little O in there that we haven't used yet. So, oh, so happy for you. Okay, just making that a celebratory occasion card. We've got these beautiful little flowers here with some gems and some of our stems we're using. We're also using that diamond cut again. We're going to use the last stencil that we haven't used, this one where we have the like black, not black, blue little half diamonds there. And then we're going to come in with that little flowery one and use some white crafting. Okay, so I'm going to share with you how we created this project. We are using white crafting. We're using Misty Moonlight and Boho Blue ink. We've got our iridescent gems again. We have these two masks that we've used before this one multiple times. We're using this one for the first time. We've got our blending brushes, and I am going to use a little blending brush, the small ones, because we're going to use that on the crafting. And then I've got a blending brush for the blues there too. This one I did go ahead and score it before I came on camera, so you don't have to watch me do that again. So we've got our supplies. We've got a boho blue card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. We've got our basic white envelope. We have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5.25. We've got a piece of boho blue that is, let's see, this one is 3 3/4 by 5. I've got a scrap piece for our sentiment that we're going to stamp on because we are fussy cutting those out. I've gone ahead and die cut 2 of the diamonds in the basic beige, so you'll have 2 of those in your kit. And then you should have 2 white long stems, 1 white short stem, and then you should have 6 little flowers already, and then your gems, of course. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. We will fold our card base in half and flatten that with our bone folder. Set that aside, and we're going to do a little work on these two pieces. So we'll bring our mat back in, and let's do our card front first, our card front piece first. So I'm going to use these with the arrows going down, the point going down. You could definitely do it so it's going the other way. Whatever works for you. I'm just going to kind of position it on my card front piece the way I like it. Grab some of the washi tape. And to grab some more there. Okay, and on this one, I blended it with my boho blue. So I'm going to take and this one is just kind of creating a little bit of shadow, and it's not precise. I don't want it necessarily strong and bold in every section of these this stencil, the mask that we're using. I just want it to create an impression. Okay, so I'm actually really just about there. I don't want an intense amount of ink. Okay, so I've just kind of got an impression. You can see that it's light around the edges and it's lighter in here, darker in other areas. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that. Then I'm going to take and bring in my little flowers and going to position those. Put that there, and I want to make sure I'm kind of, yeah. With the blue on blue ink, it is a little harder to see. So then I'm going to open up my white craft pad and come in with my little blending brush and just do some little bits of ink here. And on this one, I'm going to just kind of go around and I'm going to move these little bristles because I need to get in that little flowery type, those dots to kind of make an impression. So I'm just really focusing right around each area there before moving on. Okay. And because I'm putting the diamonds in the center, I don't need it to be in the center. I just need, or really just want, that little element of color, that pop of white, those little specks. See how? Yeah, I'm liking that the way that is. Now I'm just going to turn my paper here. So I'm just going to repeat that process in all four corners. The white craft ink is a thicker, stickier ink. So you will notice it doesn't glide over the stencils and the mask that we're using quite as well as the water-based ink. More so holding this in position, not so much because I think it's going to move, but because I'm having to swirl it, that I need to just want to make sure that my mat doesn't go flying all over the place. So I'm just looking around. Yep, really liking the way that is turning out. So I think I'm good. I've left the center vacant on purpose, not putting any white there. You can see it's pulled up some of the ink here. See, it's got some of the blue on there. It pulled some of that off of there. No big deal. I'm just going to clean that. That was the same brush I used earlier, so it's totally fine. So I've got a little bit of white on there. I like that. I'm happy with that. Set that aside to dry a bit. And I'll come in with our inside layer. We're done with the white crafting. And I'll clean that stencil off. That one is not quite as intense as the other where you like got to get it off right away, but you do want to wash it off when you're done with your stamping. So I'm going to bring this stencil back in and my blush, and then I'm just going to put a little blue at the bottom. I just want to create a little bit of a fade there, kind of like I did on the others. That's it. Just something to tie that inside of the card. with the outside. Shut that ink up, and then I'm going to use my Misty Moonlight for our sentiments. And you would have thought that I would have pre-cut these out. I did not, so I can stop the camera so you don't have to watch me cut these out, but I will do that here. So I'm going to stamp the O right there. Get that cleaned off too. And then the So Happy for You right there. And then I'm going to fussy cut those out. So I will just use my scissors to fussy cut those out. I will shut the camera off so you do not have to watch me do that. Although it doesn't take very long. I mean, I really suppose I could just do that. You could always fast forward it if you don't want to watch it. I totally understand. So when I'm fussy cutting, I'm left-handed, but I cut right-handed. I'm unique and strange, I know. So I'm just turning my cardstock and kind of keeping my scissors really in the same position. Just, oh, I was cutting a little bit off camera here. So I'm moving my cardstock and I'm gonna, let me cut that off. It's kind of in my way. So I'm just moving my cardstock, keeping my scissors in the same position. So there we've got the So Happy for You, and now we just need to cut the O off. So this didn't really take that long. I feel like I should be playing like a little like Jeopardy music or something like that while I was like waiting. Sorry for that. All right, so we're ready to layer and assemble our card. Let's come back in with all these pieces. Get this going here. I really should have had that cut out for you so you didn't have to watch, but I love the projects for this particular bundle. I'm super excited about them. I just think the products are so versatile. I'm also doing a product-based class for the butterfly bundle. That's something new in the spring catalog too. And it's got a really cool die set with it and images too. So I'm pretty excited about that one. So if that's something that interests you more, there'll be details, more details on that in February. Where's my, there they are. I was like, where are the diamonds? I knew I cut them out. So on this one, you want to cut one of them off, in half. So you just want to go from corner to corner. And we're going to put those down. So what I did was I took the corner and centered it on my card, but I made sure the tip was right down at the edge of this top layer of cardstock. And I need a little bit of adhesive right down there. Wasn't wanting to stick down. And did the same thing with this top one. I just lined it up with the top of the piece of cardstock there. We'll come back in with some dimensionals. Better put one in the center there. Then we're just going to layer that diamond on top of the other, so it gives that nice, just the offset of the two layering pieces, which I got this idea. I got to get a drink of water again. From the catalog, so I'll show you that design. and show you how I tweaked it. All right, so now we're going to put in our little pieces. And you know what you would have thought? I would have brought my silicone mat over here. Should have done that to begin with. With all these little flowers and stuff, I could have just laid out all the pieces, and I did not. If you're ever working with liquid glue, the silicone mat is a wonderful thing to have because it allows you to be able to glue things on here. And if you get it glue on it, you can just rub it right off. It's not going to get on your table surface. So let me just do that and simplify the process a bit. These I'm going to put on with some dimensionals, so we'll come back to those. So we're just going to put some adhesive on all these little embellishments that we're going to use. And by putting the adhesive all on at one time, I can just kind of grab them and put this together. So it simplifies the process a little bit. Let's get our dimensionals here. So this little guy just really needs one, although it would have been nice if I had put it in the center there. And there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and place my sentiments on there first so I can build my flowers around that. I'll take a stem. I'm going to put that right here. And another, whoops, we'll get a flower on there. Over there. We're going to take this other stem and we're going to put this one right up here. And we'll do this little guy. And I had this little guy up on that card there, but I actually think I'm going to just do it right down there. Kind of like that. You can change it up. You could even put it down here if you wanted to. Wherever you would like to put your flowers. Just keep them in the frame of your card, obviously. You can set them wherever you might like. Put that one right there. And the last one will let's put right there. Yeah. Okay. And then let's get some gems because we need those to give our flowers a little something extra. We're going to put those right in the center of each of the blossoms. And these little iridescent ones, they just kind of pick up any color. That's really how it is with any of the iridescent ones, any of the iridescent gems that we have. They'll just pick up whatever color you're using in your project. So that's what's really nice about them, makes them really super versatile. Okay, there's our last project. All right, let me just clear these supplies just kind of out of the way here quickly. And bring back in. Okay, so we've got this one. Okay, let me grab these. Okay, so we have this one. This is how we started our projects with everything kind of displayed there. You got this one, but just a note. I'll put that down here. And then we've got the wishing you the best and so happy for you. And again, just all using the link together stamp set, dies, and masks. So I hope that you have enjoyed this project, this class of projects today. I appreciate your interest in this product-based class. I hope you find it just as enjoyable and fun to create with as I have. As you can see, you can do all kinds of things. Your possibilities with layering the mask are endless. You could even, you know what? I'm one for like, I want it to kind of like all line up, but you could actually offset these the mask and kind of create a different diamond pattern. So if you're busy creating with yours, I would love to see what you've created. Feel free to share your designs with me and like, hey, this is what I did with this, and see how you know how you choose to create with this bundle. So if you have any questions on anything that I've used here today, please don't hesitate reaching out to me. Many of you have my email address. You can also find me, of course, on my Facebook, Stamp Me Crazy, but then on my YouTube channel. And you can contact me directly through my Stampin' Up website as well. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, happy stamping.